market really never fails to surprise me. Despite being so price sensitive, it's amazing that the luxury hatchback segment really seems to be gathering steam now. And it's going to get hotter still with the arrival of this machine, BMW's little hatchback, the 1 Series. It's going to be launched in India soon, but prior to that launch, we've come here to Europe to drive it and tell you what makes it that little bit different, that little bit special. First, the basics. The 1 Series is the entry-level car in BMW's range. And in its second generation guise, it is bigger and more mature than its predecessor. Despite that, whether it is length, width or height, the 1 Series is smaller than Volvo's V40 Cross Country. And on most counts, it's smaller than the Mercedes A-Class too. But the sore point for the 1 Series isn't its size, it's the wow factor. It just doesn't seem to have it. Its face wears quite a grumpy expression, and there is an awkwardness to its proportions too. The long bonnet leads into a stout cabin that flips downwards at the rear. The 1 Series is best viewed from there, where the wide rear axle and the low stance give it an athletic look. The large squarish tail lamps wrap around onto the creased sides nicely. But to find true beauty, you have to look deeper. Under the skin, there's true blue BMW genetics. Check out the engine. It's longitudinally mounted. And the power doesn't go to the front wheels. It comes to the rear. Oh yeah. Check out its stance. Low slung, short overhangs, long wheelbase, and near 50-50 weight distribution. For me, that's enough reason to make a dash for the driver's seat. Now let's see what will power the 1 Series when it comes to India. Well, there is a 2-litre diesel and a 1.6-litre petrol. First, let's take a look at the petrol. Now, typical of downsized motors, it uses a turbocharger and direct injection to increase its punch. And I was giving it the heavy right foot treatment. This petrol motor certainly can rev to about just under 7,000 RPM. Remains quite smooth, no vibrations felt, but it does get more audible inside the cabin. On an empty road, when you ask all the 136 ponies to gallop, you will have a fair bit of fun. Although performance is never neck-snapping. But more importantly, how will it deal with the everyday kind of driving? You can feel that turbo lag under 2000 RPM, which means in stop-go city traffic, it will feel a bit dull. Now, we may be driving the 6-speed manual gearbox here on both the petrol and diesel variants that we've got here, but when the 1 Series comes to India, this gearbox will not be on offer. What you will get as standard is the 8-speed automatic. The auto box is sure to mask the turbo lag and improve responsiveness a fair bit. And that will be a big plus even for the 2-litre diesel motor. Now, the diesel motor here in the 1 Series isn't new to the Indian market. We've seen it in different states of tune in the 5 Series and the 3 Series. Here in the 1 Series, the motor is detuned to 143 bhp and 32.6 kilograms of torque, which is still quite strong for its segment. Now let's see how this motor performs, shall we? Unsurprisingly, 143 bhp still feels quite ordinary in a big luxury hatch. Now, this motor won't have you grinning like an idiot, but nonetheless it's definitely a very capable motor. On the highway, it's got enough shove to cruise at triple-digit speeds without breaking a sweat, and it does rev very nicely and freely, so it just feels quick. Okay, so it might not have a lot of horsepower, but its ability to rev makes it feel quite peppy. Revs to 5,500 RPM quite cleanly, but it does lose a little bit of steam towards the end. It really is a quick revving motor that way. Now the motor certainly feels very smooth, there are no vibrations even when you rev it hard. It does feel refined too. There is a distant rumble that comes into the cabin, but that feels pleasant rather than disturbing. However, like the petrol, things were less impressive at the other end of the rev range. It does feel a bit dull under 1500 RPM, but once the turbo spools in, the pull, the torque slug is nice and linear, makes it very easy to use. The smooth and quick 8-speed automatic box from ZF, which will come to India, will make things better still. Okay, that's enough about the motors. What's the 1 Series like from behind the wheel? Well, the steering is really quick, you do have lots of grip, so this thing really feels very agile and nimble. This electromechanical steering is smooth and direct, but it misses out on that finer feel that would make it just so much more exciting. With the adjustable drive modes, the suspension, the engine, the gearbox, when you have the automatic gearbox, all kind of change the character to suit that experience. In sport, you can feel the suspension is stiffer, the car rolls less, it just feels more committed and connected. However, is it out and out exciting? Well, not quite. So, despite all the grip, its independent suspension and the rear wheel drive layout, the 1 Series feels a bit aloof to drive. Even when you push it hard, it prefers to understeer rather than to get its tail out. So, I shifted focus to another critical factor for India: the ride quality. If you want to just waft around, comfort mode, ride quality is really the best. It feels quite nice and pliant. The 1 Series was riding on 16-inch rims, and we expect this rim size to be offered as standard in India as well. However, we'll have to judge the ride quality for the 1 Series when it comes to India, because the suspension will be tweaked. You will get India spec rubber, and it will be riding with a little bit more ground clearance. What also remains to be seen is the trim that BMW will offer in India. We saw the Sport and the Urban trims in Germany. The Sport is the richer of the two. Its grille is revised, having only 8 bars and a glossy black effect. The surround for the fog lamp and the splitter also have a similar finish. The rear view mirrors are in a contrasting color, while at the rear there is a glossy black trim on the bumper too. Scuff plates and a key fob keep reminding you of the Sport trim. The interiors look like, well, pretty much like any other BMW, which can be a bit boring. However, a nice touch is the way the center console tilts towards the driver. Despite being only manually adjustable, the seats are quite special in the Sport trim because they are really well bolstered. The driving position is very good and there's ample space in the front too. However, in the back, things are a bit tight, and that's despite the 2nd generation 1 Series having a 3 cm longer wheelbase than the 1st gen 1 Series. At 360 litres, the boot is big, spacious, and very usable indeed. This baby BMW is now all set to hit Indian showrooms really soon. So this is what the BMW 1 Series hatchback is like. From the inside, the cabin is in the most spacious, and in terms of premiumness, it is somewhat lacking when compared to the competition it will be facing in India. But it does have some plus points. Its motors, both the petrol and the diesel, quite easy to use, nice and punchy, fun too, but not out and out enthusiast motors. But from behind the wheel, this can be quite a fun little hatchback because the steering, the way the chassis is set up, it just feels nice and agile, lots of grip, a car you can have some amount of fun with. And what BMW are doing to make the 1 Series even more competent is assembling it in India. So when it is launched on the 3rd of September, this car is sure to come with a cracking price tag.